Alright. Wow. That yeah, that's the longest I've actually taken to come to stream. Sorry about that. Alright. So so today I wanted to kinda go over um sound effects, right? And I know you guys saw when I was working through the previous pages and everything like that. And I was saying some of these things I was going to do by hand and some of them I was going to do digitally. Um, for mainly two reasons. Sometimes I know exactly which sound effects I want to go there, and other times I don't. And then there's the fact that, like, even if I know which ones I want to go there, I know I want them to kind of overlap or like overlay on top of things. And instead of them being completely black, I might want them to be like a soft gray and transparent, so that it kind of just, you know, lays directly on top of the art and doesn't mess with the art. And I think that's a really good approach to some of the sound effects that you could do. The other part of basically working on sound effects at this point is trying to get one that really fits like exactly the moment you're going for. And I have kind of like a new thing for that in particular. So, like, there's many different approaches to do it, right? I have a color that I'm using right now with like this type of brush, right? And I have this outline of white that's around it as well. So right now, I want this pose right here to feel kind of like strong, or like this action to feel like strong. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to, because these are basically here for placeholders. Some of them probably work well, some of them don't. So I'm going to have to look at all of them that I have there. But basically, I want this to feel strong. So what I'm going to do is essentially use more straight lines for each thing. And I think you can usually incorporate at least two ideas into like your what would it be called? Your lettering, at least two. So you could like go through this with like and pick out some edges, whereas though it'll feel more like a rock or something. That's an idea you could go with. You could also go through it like this, if that's an effect you'd like. I think I'm just going to stick to the edges here. I think that'll look cool. Just pick away at it here and there. And it should still graphically read as the letter that I want it to be. So I think that could look freaking cool. I actually haven't messed around with overlay layers in a bit, so I'm gonna have to play around with that a little bit. But before that, you just get these letters correct, the way I'd like them to be. Of course, we're getting some notifications at the moment. It's okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so again, we want straight lines. So we're going to take all these things that are more rounded, and we're going to try and make them more straight here and there, to add to like the emotional like shape language, if you will, right? Like when you see things that are more like square than circular or like triangular, all these things have different like feelings to them, right? A box or a square feels more sturdy, more strong, um, uh, better to build upon, or something like that. Triangles have edges, they feel sharp, you know, things of that nature. Um, Things that are more, I would say, sharp looking look like they probably could be faster as well. And then you have circular things, right? These things look like they flow well. Uh, they look like they are soft, right? Something that is flat could be hard. Something that is soft, I mean, would be round, right? And something that is sharp or triangular would be sharp. So, yeah, if you put an object somewhere and you had like someone like, oh, like try and touch one of these objects and see what it would feel like, you could imagine based off of just those three shapes the types of texture or feelings based off of the shape that they would have. So just using that as a general principle to kind of base certain things off of, you can kind of get pretty far, I would say. So that's what I'm thinking about. I'm like, okay, I need this to kind of feel stronger. So I'm going to use these types of shapes in my lettering for my sound effects to get across the general feel. Alright, so I'm going to kind of go away from it or like cut out of it. I know a bit about sound effects, but I could always be better. I actually feel like sound effects is one of the more recent things that I feel like I've gotten better at. So now I'm kind of adding like these little breaks here to like kind of show, hey Tavon, yes it is art time. Like kind of like a breaking effect, like a cracking effect here to just accentuate the strength in which, him stopping that with his knee would, actually feel like. Alright? Alright, so now we have these here. What I'm going to do is turn off the border effect. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to cut and paste it. And what I should be able to do is select everything in the layer like that. I'm going to expand it by about 2 pixels. And then I'm going to pick black. Gonna do that. So we still have some of the cracks there. I'm gonna go ahead and use this. Now let's see here. Now I want to do an overlay, so let's see what that's gonna look like. Overlay here. Yeah, I forget how I did it before. Yeah, I'm gonna have to relearn that, honestly. That's not a big deal. I will eventually figure it out. So we're on normal layer. Interesting. Okay. Could have swore it had another effect here. This is watercolor edge. That's not what I'm looking for. This is extra line. That's not what I'm looking for. That's layer color. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that. We'll see if this isn't suffice for now. I kind of want to still cut into it a little bit with certain things, but actually, let me see here. If I go ahead and reselect that, no, I don't want to try that. I'll come back to it because I know that I'm going to end up overworking it and doing something I don't need to do at the moment. And that's not something I want to do. Yeah, so I'll come back to this in particular as far as like wanting to uh, kind of make it an actual overlay. But essentially what I'm looking for is, oh dang, sorry about that, Tavon. Jeez. It could be weather related with the connections and everything. So the effect I'm going for is essentially like, imagine that this sound effect here is like this, but the outline for it is is higher. I remember doing something where I duplicated a layer and what I had done was did this, put it down, which you won't see, and I had selected inside of this, I think, and then just what is it, deleted everything, right? And then you get that weird effect, right? Which means I would have to decrease it by about like what, 5? I mean, I guess it works. Yeah, it does. Only problem is right, the only problem is how exactly whatchamacallit you want it to be. I know it had something to do with what was it, actually I'll delete this. I think it had something to do with multiply. Multiply? Gonna try something. Duplicate layer. Put this one on top into multiply. This is the normal layer. Put that as a overlay maybe? Does that work? So what you would do is nah, I'm still losing it. Still losing the thing I'm trying to keep. Alright, yeah, we're gonna have to come back to it, but I will figure it out. What exactly was this? Right, it was a different effect. Okay, so we got the general thing we wanted there. I mean, it still stands out exactly how we wanted to anyway there. It's not too bad of an option. Just want it to be a little bit better. Yeah, but if I do it like that, then it kind of blends in too much with the dark stuff there already. So I might have to just be okay with that there. That's fine. Alright. So I didn't come up with a sound effect here. Because I thought about it for a minute, and I was just like, you know, sometimes it's best when you can't come up with a sound effect that you just leave it blank. Because forcing one there might make it a lot worse. And it's just something you're going to change later. If it's something you're going to change later, you might as well just give yourself more time to think about it instead of just leaving something there you don't feel like really works. And that's what I chose to do with that. I feel like the imagery kind of works already. And when you see the second thing, you could kind of piece it together. So, yeah. This is a very peculiar sound effect. Because I didn't want to put a TK there, even though it would be more so. I don't know why I put a TA there. That's very interesting. What is it, this one? Yeah. Alright, so let's go ahead and change that after Clip Studio saves. Alright. Actually, I can just use this and just turn on this here. Right. So I have a couple pins that I can use for, how did that change, I wonder? I have a couple pins that I can kind of use to create, you know, all these different effects and whatnot. So that's also really interesting. That's not something I'd use, but it's nice to know that that actually looks like that. That's pretty cool. This is the other one. Right. This is this brush here. It looks really cool. It has like this kind of blip blop thing to it. And if you kind of flick your pen, it creates this really thin line. It's really nice. But what I'm going to stick with, that's also cool. What I'm going to stick with is going to be the G pen and this thing called Josuke's Eyebrows. I did not name this pen at all, but yeah, that's the name of the pen. So we have a, I think Ta is cool. Also think like a TP would be cool too. Be the sound of whatchamacallit, like a walking. But actually I think the TK is fine as well. I think my favorite letter to use consistently when it comes to like sound effects is always this sound that like this heavy, it's like this heavy stepping sound that can't be a TP. It's like a TM. So I'm always like putting an M somewhere. It's interesting. So other tools we have here that we can kind of utilize is what is it? The transform, the free transform tool. So free transform, and now you can kind of play with the perspective of the stuff you've drawn down like this. That's pretty fun. Change the angle of things, stretch them, all that good stuff. I'm not even done completely shaping them yet, because I feel like, first of all, this outline is way too big. I usually like to keep my outline stuff around like 10 when it comes to like sound effects. And the other thing I try to do is keep my my shape language the same, so it looks cohesive and not out of place. Each letter looks like they should belong together, something like that, like almost like the same font. Because I know I'm doing these things by hand, so I do have to put a bit of, you know, thought into what these things look like. Alright, that's okay for now. I'll clean up this a little bit more. But yeah, Tavon, if you're still here, how's your day been going? I feel like these two should be a little bit closer together. Yeah. How's everyone's days been going? It's been pretty okay for me. I actually started to, oh yeah, today I kind of was able to make some content for Patreon and get it up there finally. So that was cool. It's basically dealing with like more things dealing with like character design and style building and things of that nature. So I'll be focused on that for a little bit longer. I'm actually gonna try and hyper focus on it when I'm like off stream and stuff, so I can get more content out for people who are supporting me and things of that nature. And then I want to go into going through this new book that I got, which I still haven't given myself time to get into. Oh, thanks, Ninjalo. I appreciate that. So I think this is cool, but I also think I can push it to be a little bit better, right? So what I'm gonna do is try to accentuate the feeling of that slide, you know. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use speed lines and I'm gonna go through it. I'm gonna cut out of it to kind of accentuate the speed and the feeling of this guy sliding on the floor or the ground. Thanks, Kai. I mean, there's other ways to do it as well, right? We could also accentuate, like, let's see. So this is the right layer. Let's see. Nope. Let's make sure we're on the right layer. It's the orange one. Yes, it's this one. So we can kind of throw some of these as well, kind of like the same. Let's see if I can move this so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Where that? Okay. So the same general shape that I have behind this, I know I'm covering it up. So what I kind of want to do is kind of use those shapes that's kind of showing that slide and use it also with the sound effects. So what I'm doing is I'm emphasizing exactly the action that this thing kind of represents or is helping along. So let's see, I'm gonna grab this pen and just start using some of those shapes, which those shapes are sharp, right? They're like triangular. So I'm gonna start doing some of that. So it's kind of curvy, but it also has some sharp edges to it. You can do that with the H. Start adding some lines to it here and there to add to the feeling of movement. You know what else you could do? You could get rid of all of these right here because you've already done an H, right? So why would you need to do more than one H when you need to keep these things looking tight and consistent, right? So what we do, we should go ahead and go around the one H that we've done if we like it, right? If we like the way it looks, we could always like go ahead and add a little bit more here and there. But once we like the way that one H looks, we're repeating these shapes or these sound effects. We can just go ahead and copy and paste it, and that's what we're going to do. I'm going to use the polygonal tool or polygonal, whatever you'd call it. Grab it. You're going to cut and paste that, or actually we can copy and paste it, right? Now we go ahead and use the scale rotate so we can move it. Hold down shift so it'll stay like basically when you hold down shift and you get ready to move something, it'll just slide right over without like moving up and down and stuff like that. So it'll be like that. So what I want to do is I'm gonna just move it right here so I have enough space to grab it if I want to. Click OK and then repeat it. But I don't need to do that yet because what I'm going to do is select two of them at the same time so that I can get two more right there beside each other. So I'm going to use copy and paste again. Oh yeah, and I should probably merge these down if I can. That way you're not taking up too much space. I think I just got rid of the two I made, but that's okay. Just going to merge these down. It's supposed to be orange. I'm going to do the copy paste again. That's fine. Hold shift, move it over. Try to kind of mimic the space between the first H, just about there. And now we have a consistent looking font that we just made on the fly that accentuates the feeling that we're going for. Right. Of course, this part here is going to be cut off. So we don't want that to be trailing through the border like that. But yeah, everything else should be fine and consistent, so it's good. Go ahead and merge all this stuff down into one layer. Make that orange again. I kind of wish that they would keep their color. But yeah, again, if you wanted to take this further, you could go ahead and you can go ahead and use, what is it called, transform, free transform, and you can distort it however you like. You know, you can do like that if you like. You know, you can have this type of feel to it. Yeah, that also looks pretty cool, you know. Let me see. Yeah, despite how cool it is, I'm wondering how legible it is, right? Like, could you tell that those are H's? You can't. I can't go with that effect no matter how cool I think it looks. And also don't want to cut off anyone around the neck area. So I think this looks pretty cool, right? So about there, yeah, that looks pretty cool. Hey Tavon, I can send you something, um, probably after stream. I think I might have something for you. Just remind me. I think I might have somewhere where you can check it out. Oh yeah, and now by looking at this panel, I'm noticing, oh, I forgot to fill this guy's outfit part in with black. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that now. Good to know. It's around here. Yep, got it. Alright, let's go back up to the top. And we can actually turn this black if we'd like to, because it's not like covering anything. So let's see here, we're gonna cut and paste it onto its own layer. We're gonna turn that off. Go ahead and select all of that. Ooh, that's not good. Undo. I forget, isn't there an easier way to do this as well? Ah, there it is, right? We can go ahead and select all of this here. Go ahead and increase by 2 pixels. Let's see if we lose anything. We're gonna lose a bunch of stuff, unfortunately, from what I can tell. Undo. Looks okay. What does that look like when I fill it? That looks okay. I really wish I could figure out or remember how the overlay technique that I was like forgot about works. Hmm. But yeah, this kind of is what I'm going for here. Um, Legibility wise, it is okay. Um, I'm trying to think now. Is there a way that I can turn this into like this type of layer and keep it that way? See here. Is that like, That's too high. We can take it down to about like 50. 50 is fine. Wow, and the border effect isn't even on. I wonder how that worked. Odd. Well, that doesn't work. And that might work. Wait, did I figure it out? Okay. Wait, did I figure it out? That's the oddest thing. Like, that makes actually no sense at all. Wait, what? Okay, if I turn it to... Okay. If I turn this to normal, it's... Okay, it's that. If I turn this into... If I turn this into overlay, it becomes white. And if I duplicate that layer before I change it, turn that into a multiply layer, I can just adjust. Okay. Alright, cool. I might have figured it out. I think hold on, except I don't get the outline that I really want. Yeah, I kind of lose the outline. It doesn't go over top of what I want it to be. Oh, oh no, if I put the overlay on top of it, the multiply one right there. Nope, it's just brighter. It's not, yeah, maybe if I make it normal here. Okay, make it normal there, and lower the opacity of it, and I get it. Alright, cool. I figured it out, but I'm probably gonna forget. So I'm gonna put this up to about like 76, 65. Right? From afar, we can see those sound effects. They look decent. See our characters, they're covered up or overlapped on top of, but you can actually see behind them. They're not really that big, so you can see what, what's literally behind them. So that's good. That's good. Right. And this here is already done. My only problem with it is, at this point, it doesn't really stick out. Like, it looks a bit like you wouldn't really notice it right now. So I'm thinking of going around it a bit, but then I'd have the problem of it might stick out too much. So what I'm thinking is, first of all, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna erase out this little spark joint that I have on his kneecap because it's too bright. Well, it's not bright enough actually. Let me make sure this is actually no, it's not bright enough. So we're gonna erase out this area here. This looks a bit wonky. Just try to, yeah, do something like that for it. That'll be okay. Okay. So I'm thinking of like maybe doing an outline like that. First I have to kind of decrease that there. This might be a good idea as far as like making sure it's legible from far away. The good part is I can always just erase out what doesn't work. And that's what that will look like from further away. So yeah, it looks like it's working. So that's great. Don't really need to, well, I'll do the outline here as well. First I wasn't, but it might work there as well. So all I'm doing is kind of using my mouse at this point, and all you have to do is click. See that dot right there? That's me using a pen, but I'm using the mouse, so I'm clicking, then I'm holding shift, and then it allows me to pick where I want my straight line to go, and I click again. I can just keep doing that, you know. So that's pretty cool. What is this? Is this undo? No, that's not undo. Oh wait, that's save, isn't it? Wait, is this undo? Yeah, that's undo. I'm still learning this thing. Alright. Just gonna do this one as well. Cool. So I'm gonna go around here. I'm gonna start leaving the shadow that I put there underneath of it, because it's supposed to be there. Alright, and now we have a curved line, right? So I'm going to come back to that, because I like to work in like bulk. I like to do one job completely until it's done, and then work on the next part. So I'm going to come back to that one. Don't like that. That's better. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and erase away some of these awkward looking edges. I'll literally go right into the frame. It's only a few of them. Right, and let me see here. Alright, gotta get this middle area as well. because again, we're doing essentially kind of like fonts, you know? Even if we're doing it by hand, and we want these things to read. We want them to read just as good as all our artwork, you know, that we drew. If we're doing fonts and stuff like that, we want those things to be able to be very legible, and for the reader not to go, wait, what does that say? You know. Okay, so I just clicked the curve tool, but then I was like, wait, let me go ahead and make sure that I know exactly what size my pen is, so I can map them out. So it says my brush size here is 10, so I'm going to bring that over to this tool as well, and click until I get to 10. Alright, so now we know that our line width would be the same. Now I'm going to try and do this letter, so I'm going to click, and click here, what, click there, oh, wait, did I forget how to use this? Come on. Okay. That is not how I want to use that. And what? I don't even have the right color on. Okay, so let's see. Click, stretch, then you pull, right? That's how this tool is used. Click, stretch, pull. Actually, that's a lie, right? Because technically, you can actually choose how you want it to work. Because Clip Studio has a bunch of tools and different ways in which you can use them. So you can select a many of options to figure out how you want this tool to work. That's how I kind of have it working. You can pick the shape of the brush and all that good stuff. I have it mapped to the pen, I believe, right now. But yeah, so basically I'm going to click, pull. Whoop, did it wrong again. Click. Dude, I really just forgot that fast while explaining. Wow. Really though? Really? Okay, so what you want to do is, as soon as you click, you want to pull. Basically, that's all you gotta do. Also, the cool thing is, I believe if you hold Shift, oh no, nope, none of that. I believe you could do it, but basically you can use this tool to make straight lines as well, as long as you eyeball them. So, do that. You just hold it, let go. Okay. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. Cool. Now I'm gonna go ahead and make these curved lines as best as I can. So do something like that. And you know, it's not the best thing ever, but look how far close we are. You know, it actually works pretty well far away. We're only 25% in now. We were really close a bit, you know, a little while earlier. What other curve line do we have? The outside of this R. Thanks, Adele. Thanks for stopping by, man. Oh, did it again. So pull to where we want the edge of the line to be. Now we curve right around here. Is that a good curve for us? Looks like it. Pull back. Boom. Now our sound effect is readable from far enough away, right? I usually say if your stuff looks good at like 12.5, then it's readable. It's very readable. 12.5 is a comparable size ratio to something you'd probably see on a phone, in my opinion. And yeah, you're probably going to see it closer on any other type of screen, like a tablet or, you know, monitor, you know. But if you can make your stuff read at 12.5, then it's very legible. You can definitely tell what it says. That's the same thing I do for like text, but we'll go over text a bit later. But what I do is my size ratio for my text is about 15. Like for example sake, Actually, I don't know if it'll pick black when I type. But like, see, I have it mapped to like 15, right? Jeez, it doesn't even remember the settings I had. I have it mapped to 15 at the moment. And basically, if you can type consistently at 15, and it's typed in black. I love it. Right? I mean white. So all I gotta do is double click this, pick black. Yeah, right? So what I did was, went online and I looked at some manga artists, well, some manga that I could find online, some scans or whatever, free stuff, whatever. And I was like, okay, let me see what their word bubble sizes look like and how their words look, size ratio. And what I did was I was like, okay, one of the best sizes I've seen to make sure your stuff is legible is about 15. And basically, what I try to do is I always try to keep my font size around 15. The font size is set to 15 consistently because that seems to be the best legible size. If it goes lower than that, it gets really hard to see, like around like 13 and 14. Like 14 is like, it's a maybe if it's being able to be seen. And it also depends on what font you're using. Sometimes the font you're using could be a little tinier than other fonts, or it could have those intricate little crevices between like K, V, and E and things of that nature. So you got to pay attention to that. So you got to find comic font that works and has decent spacing between those little crevices. But once you do, um, try to keep it at a consistent size, whereas though you can read it at 12.5. Like I was saying, if 12.5 is comparable to something you would want to see on your phone, if you are trying to do like a webcomic or something like that, know that a lot of people are reading their content or comic content on phones. And if you can't read it this small, then no one's probably going to be able to read your text that you put in your comic as easily as you'd like to believe. So to prepare for that, always try and see what it looks like this small. Again, my file format is at 600 dpi. 600 dpi for this stuff for my pages, which yours doesn't actually have to be that. I think 400 is just fine. But yeah, if you can shrink your page down or zoom out to about 12.5 and still read your comic fine, then you're doing an excellent job at legibility. Why did I write "We Are Live"? It's literally the last thing. It's the last thing I wrote before like starting on the pages today because that's what I usually use when I tell people I'm live on YouTube. So that's sorry. That's what I used. Yeah, anything else? Alright, so we know how to do this now. So maybe we can go back to this here and change it. Right, so, okay, from what I remember, let's try to rip, actually we have a little, alright, so this is the normal layer, right? Yep, and this is the overlay. Okay, we're gonna try this again. So we're gonna go over to this layer here, right? This is the normal layer. We're gonna duplicate it, make it an overlay here, and then we're gonna go to the normal layer and change the, yeah, that's how you do it. Okay, very exciting. We figured that out again, and all right, so 12.5, we see how dark that is. We want it to be darker than, so I think 70 is fine. 70 is fine. It's not completely black. Let me see here. 68, 67. Yeah, I can't do it too light. It's like once it hits a certain threshold, it changes completely. Let me see what type of. It's a color layer, yeah. Wait a minute, I just realized what Adele said. Adele, did you notice that you wrote and now I totally get what you wrote. You wrote notice because you want me to put a sound effect or the onomatopoeia for something that's ridiculous, like notice. I got it. I got it. So yeah, 70 is fine. 70 is fine. It's not that dark, thankfully. Also have a little thing here. Sorry, there. Right. So yeah, that works. You can kind of see through it. See the effect going through it and everything like that. So that's great. Alright, we're gonna do probably 2 more pages, I think, of sound effects. Go ahead and save. This man said notice. Right, the next 2 pages are these 2, right? Yeah. You know what I also noticed? I noticed in manga like Akira, they don't overuse sound effects. Maybe it's a seinen manga thing. I don't know if you guys have noticed that type of thing, but like, well, if someone, I think, if someone walks in Akira, they just are walking. You don't need a sound effect for that. So he's like, I'm not writing, a TP or anything like that. I have it right here. I'm just opening it. Yeah, like people are doing regular, normal things, and they're not making a big deal about someone walking forward or something like that. Even a head turn is kind of like why create lines for that. And I think that may be due to the fact that Otomo is a little bit more cinematic. He's a little bit more cinematic with his understanding of things since he loves like movies and things of that nature. He'll only put a sound effect if it really needs to be there. Like in biking scenes, when they're riding the bikes and motorcycles and things of that nature, he'll go out of his way to make sure he's consistently making sure that the engines are humming, and the sounds they're making. And if someone falls off their bike, sometimes he'll put 2 sound effects in the panel to show you the starting action, and then there could be a sliding motion or something like that. So you'll it's kind of like you can hear it, like it's very visceral, right? The only time you'll hear someone like moving as far as like walking and running is when they're really running and it's a lot of them or something like that, and it's like a medium shot. If it's a long shot, meaning like further away, you're not about to hear those sound effects most of the time, it seems. I'm kind of just flipping through the manga at the moment, if you guys, are wondering. Yeah, it's almost like if it's a hyper action moment, all right, cool. You might get some sound effects. You might get a decent amount of sound effects. If it's a mundane scene, if it's like an alarm, all right, cool. We're gonna give you that alarm, but we're not gonna make just people sitting around walking or whatever and talking have sound effects that much. It's uh, it's not that important. Jeez, Otomo did not have a problem with pagination like I do. I keep going to the bottom of the page, and he keeps everything relatively in the middle frame, in the middle. I forget what you call it, the live area, right? If you guys know about like TV animation, Back in the day, the storyboard artist had a live area. It's like literally the middle of the TV screen where you want to keep all the most important information there. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how many of you guys like really. Well, I know you guys. Some of you guys do definitely. I when I was younger, I would like try and figure out what the process um for some of the manga artists beyond just the art. And I'll be like, you know, when I was looking at Naruto or something like that, I'd be like, wait a minute, Kishimoto does this thing where, see now I'm actually gonna make some notes about it. That could have been smarter from the start. Kishimoto does this thing sometimes where um, you'll be looking at a layout in the book, right? You got the book open. All right, need a bigger pen. Bigger pen. This, sure. And you got the book open. You got your that's no. No, come on. All right. You got your right page and your left page, right? And I'll notice little stuff like uh, Kishimoto will have, if the book is open like this in your hands, it'll have whereas though this page here will be higher, and then this page here will start and kind of go all the way to the bottom, which means that you can tell what page you're on because it'll be here, but won't this page won't show you what page you're on because the page goes all the way down. So it kind of has this feeling kind of like this inherently to keep you going that direction. Kind of like a falling feeling, if you will. I always noticed that over time. I was like, man, it's so interesting, like I wonder if he's doing that on purpose, I always thought about that. And that's also something that helped me think more about like, okay, when I'm making comics, I need to think of them structurally, layout wise. Whereas though even without images on each page, I can kind of make a way where the reader will end up at the last panel in the spread, where I can get them to turn the page. Now I'm not gonna check right now because it's a memory. It's probably not in every single Naruto book that I've seen, but I think a lot of the latter half of like Shippuden had it. Hmm. Actually, no. I'm gonna put that as blue because I don't know. All right, so we have this sound effect here. I like the S. I like maybe one of these Fs. So I'm gonna get rid of the other one. I'm gonna probably add one to the other two as far as imagery goes. This is one strange looking S. Kind of like the previous S a little bit more, but I think I'll try to work with this anyway. So, again, what I'm thinking about as far as this sound effect in particularly is speed and power. So we're gonna go ahead and get rid of this. Actually, something about this F just looks cooler, but would need to be cleaned up a lot more. So for speed and power, I'm gonna try and skew the angle of it a bit more. Give it some of these speed lines coming off of it in different areas. What I could also do is I can kind of play around with some of these attributes. We got our speed, and then we can also have you can do that thing where we erase away like we did in the previous sound effect we had done. Add around the edges, and that'll just add to the highlight or the outline. I'm trying to mostly use straight lines for that, like very small straight lineage. Nothing should be uniform here. I feel like I need to make that a little bit thicker. That looks okay. Sorry about that. I just thought about something also. So I don't need to hold shift for that. So right now I'm doing like a very basic approach to this. Let me undo that. Sometimes you might want to also layer your letters directly on top of each other and things of that nature. It's a little bit more complicated, but it's definitely doable. You can definitely do that. Go ahead and bring these two together. Merge. Now we got all that there. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this off and on. Okay, so what I want to do first, now I see that it has other things on it, I'm going to go ahead and cut and paste that. Now what I'm going to do, so I'm going to turn it off of color layer, turn it to monochrome. Now, see, with monochrome, it turned it completely, yeah, I was like, what? That didn't make any sense. Yeah, so, okay, I like that. Okay, Clip Studio. So yeah, you have a color, and it's like, okay, it's relatively a light color, but you can change the color threshold if you want to, and turn it all the way up to black. That's great. That takes away so much extra stuff for me to do, right? What I really want you to notice here is like the boulder, right? I don't really want you to notice the sound effect too much. I think it's cool that it's there and everything, but it's not what I initially want you to be looking at. Can you do that here as well? You can pop out. No. Go there. Actually, it should be fine. Alright, so you're going to duplicate it. You're going to turn this into a overlay. You're going to go behind it or underneath of it and change this. Of course, that's not going to be able to work because I need to go into what, gray? Okay. Actually, no, it's not dark enough. No, it's dark enough. Okay. So, I'm going to place this at around, let's see, 85. Alright, it has some darkness there. Let's see, put it at 12.5. See, that doesn't read well. Put it all the way up. Doesn't it either, so that's not good. Normal isn't working either. Good to know. Good that we know that it isn't working. So we're checking now. Create the selection. It's not what we want. We want to actually select directly in this shape here. Go ahead and fill that in with black. And now we should be able to, yeah, change that a bit. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe black is the way to go there. I feel like it's just not readable. It's not readable enough. One thing we can do is make it bigger. By making it bigger, make it a little bit more legible. See here, what does it look like at 12.5? It looks okay. Cool. So that might work. Interesting. Now, why does that happen exactly? I don't know. It's really cool though. So I'm gonna put this down to about like. Why does it get so dark? Alright, so I'm gonna put that down to like there. Plus I gotta see what's happening with all this. Seems to change depending on what's near it. Of course, because it's a shadow here, so the best place to actually put it would be literally overlapping here. Hmm. Again, can you read it? You can, but now it's not dark enough. No, overlay, you need to go all the way up. Isn't it supposed to be on something else? Put it at 40. Gonna put it at 40. It's still see-through. It's not completely black, but it's very dark, so you would read it kind of as black. That's okay. That is okay. I don't think it would have changed much, like even if I did it a different way. So I'll just be careful with that type of thing next time, if I can think of it. So this sound effect, honestly, I wanted to put in the background, like kind of like embedded in the background. So do we have anything else on this layer at all? No, it's just it by itself. Let's go ahead and select it, scoop back, see what we see. I'm starting to see what happened. I think I had done these sound effects. I think I had like kept them all on the same layer, and then when I saved it, it just kind of saved the outline around it. So when I want to make a selection, I can't turn off this because it's not on. It's literally saved that way. Cool. What I'll do is get rid of that and just make my own new one. Not really that crazy. See, I wanted to go with this warping effect where, like, since he's pushing the boulder away, I wanted to like use this feeling of like this push where he's just warping these effects here. So it's kind of curving. Oh, that's cool. I just thought of something. I could like use it whereas though like he's pushing the K into the T. That could be cool. I know a part of this is going to be covered up, but that's okay. Alright, I don't want to have things leaking into the next panel over here, so I'm going to cut that off. Gonna make sure I erase out what I can that needs to be erased out. Okay, so what I want to do here, since this is on its own layer, I'm gonna go ahead and create a selection. I'm gonna expand the selection. And what I want to do is make it bigger. Yeah. Just move that back right here. I feel like it's just not centered. Yeah, I know I definitely, yeah, I can do better than that. So, this is black, so we can turn it back black. We're gonna fill in what we need to go where we want to go. Alright. Gonna erase away a little bit more. Cool. Okay. So what I want to do is literally just do this. So I don't need it to be overlay. I do need you to be able to read the effect from far enough away. Maybe around 35-ish. Too heavy. 30-ish. Oh, really? Is that around 10? Yeah, it looks okay. Looks okay. I may change later, but it looks okay for now. As you can see, I didn't put like an effect here for the roll going down his arm and stuff. I could think of doing like a whoosh effect, like a whoosh sound effect, but the more and more things you put on the page could steal the attention of what your main subject is. I'm always trying to make sure I don't do that, right? That's why I was so like adamant, like, oh, I don't want the effect of when the boulder goes on his hand to take center stage so much, because it literally is just, it's just a sound effect that represents that thing. I want your eye to go from there into the boulder going around his arm. And then once you're there, obviously you have word bubbles, right? Literally, as one word bubble higher, you're gonna go from here to there, and then boom, right? So actually, I think this does work, right? because this kind of feels like a slow effect anyway, right? You roll down the arm. You also have a you have a word bubble here that's higher up, so you need to read that first. Then you go down the arm, then you read the second one, right? See the pose, see the motion of the wind or the debris going around, and it kind of takes you, you know, right there. You read what he says. You can tell he kind of yells something, get into this motion of going right across, and we have him essentially pushing K into the T and kind of breaking them right at the center. That's that feeling I wanted to do. And then we have the boulder going, you know, horizontally. Yeah. So yeah, I like the way that turned out. Actually, what's this? Something I didn't see. It's another thing you have to be wary of. You see how it kind of went right over top of this border here? I kind of don't want that completely. If it's going to go over the border anyway, I don't want it to be on the edge of the underneath. I'd rather it go over it just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is like cut it in half with like a rectangular tool, a rectangular, what is it, polygonal tool? Let's see what that'll look like. Looks kind of like that. So it's not completely covering the line anymore. I can cut down any more. Yeah, that's a lot better to me. You kind of see it overlaps, but it's not like completely overlapping and getting really close to the next panel. So, yeah. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna be doing for today, actually. I have a few more pages for like tomorrow and whatnot, as far as going over sound effects. But yeah, I wanted to basically go over the sound effects with you guys, as you know, most of them, and kind of go like, okay, not only are we doing sound effects, we have certain things we have to keep consistent, right? We have like when we draw these things by hand, we have to try and make them consistent, or I try to usually make them consistent with like the shape language and stuff that I'm going for. The first thing I have to think about is what's the job of the sound effect to do, right? Uh, Sometimes, well, from what I've read, the human brain is going to notice a word. Uh, it's going to read a word faster than it's going to interpret an image. Even if, like, it depends on how simple that image is. You know, we find faces. We'll look in the direction that someone else is looking, someone else is pointing. You know, we'll notice something very dangerous if we know what it is. But if it's a word, we'll read it because we've been reading stuff all our lives. You know, we'll read that word. So when I do my sound effects, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to use this to draw the reader's attention, but I also am going to use this to describe or emphasize the feeling I'm going for, emphasize the expression I'm going for. You know, this is a SIF effect, right? And I like to do sound effects where I use multiple letters to create a sound. I think it looks cool, you know. I don't have to worry about all of a sudden me needing to spell a whole entire word. I'm not looking to spell a whole entire word. I'm looking for sounds that come together that represent an action or a feeling, you know. And I can do that with just a bunch of letters. And I think that works great, right? Like this obviously could have been catch, but instead I focused on some of the letters here, which sounds like the snapping sound you'd hear when someone catches something, right? That's what I went for that. And I also cheated a bit because I'm also using the sound effect to lead your eye exactly where I want it to go, right? So I have contrast with the sound effect. I'll lead your eye from the top part of this panel down, right? And I'll also show you that, you know, if the spark of the action of this person catching it is here, then that means they caught it here, right? They caught it exactly over here. But the thing has such pressure that then you hear the sound effect. Like you heard it technically first because as soon as you went down here, you read it. Then you notice it was caught over there. Then you realize he was pushed over here, right? So I have a little bit of movement going on there. May not be done masterfully or anything, but you know, that's how I see it when I'm drawing it or I'm planning these things out. And also I'll draw you right down into this panel and into this word bubble. So you always know exactly where to go. So I'm always trying to think like that when I'm producing pages and stuff. I'm always trying to make effects where they don't, like I said, take away from what the central subject is for each panel and each page. Makim is technically the focal point of this page. How he feels about what he's doing and how he's doing it is kind of like what we're focused on, you know? And then we throw the ball over here, and now Halo and Samara are the subjects and how they, you know, deal with the boulder that he sent back, you know, is what we're focused on to some degree. Yeah. Thanks everyone for stopping by today. We'll be going over some more sound effects tomorrow in the latter half of this chapter, with more pages and everything like that. It's a little short and sweet stream. It's about, you know, it's almost 2 hours, but not completely 2 hours. So I hope you guys are working on stuff while you guys are hanging out and hopefully learning anything. If you guys have any questions at any time, please type them in the chat. I'm always willing to talk to you guys about comics or even you guys' art and what you guys are working on. I always think everybody's, you know, whatever everybody's working on is pretty darn cool. But yeah, I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow at 9 p.m. And you know, if you haven't, you know, subscribed yet, if you like the content, please subscribe. You know, then you guys can show up and like hang out with us while we go over this type of stuff. You know, on Mondays through Fridays. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.